Hi guys, here's another video. I've been having a look at this Zanussi washer dryer on the internet for a bid, and let me show you. These are the original listing pictures, what they've produced, and it looks like a tidy machine. Comes with a manual. Okay, they state that they've had it for 3 years, and it's just had a new heater, £145 cost, and it's become noisy and some other issues. So there was no warranty, so they're selling it as spares and repairs. It's no longer working. I offered the seller £20, but he says 30 quid, so I said it's fine, no worries. So I popped up and collected it, and here it is. Like I say, it looks tight on the outside. Let's drop it off, and then let me just get this cat out of the shop. Okay, so let me just show you around the unit. Like I said, on the outside it looks pretty tidy. It's top there, just show you around the back. Looks like a pretty clean machine. So if I just open the door, and I'll show you what the problem is. If you push up on the drum, you can hear it clunking. So that's either the spider or the bearings. More than likely it's a spider, because with that much movement. So I've left the holes inside. So what I'm going to do is have a look at that today. Obviously I'm going to have to strip it down, so let me just get the top cover off. There's 4 screws on the top and 2 at the back, and the top cover comes off, and you can see here the heater element. As you can see, the silver part there does look new. So I'm just going to continue stripping the unit down. I'm just going to remove the soap tray and the control panel. As you can see here, fairly straightforward to dismantle. And here you can see me just trying to remove the soap tray with the hoses intact, and I'll just tuck it around the back here once I've undone everything. Just let it hang down the back there. Okay, I'll just move this control panel out of the way. Doesn't need to be here. It's just one clip from the back. Just show you the wiring, and I'm doing this because I need to know where the wires go when I put it back together. So I'm just basically highlighting the wiring, how they are, before I dismantle it. So I'm starting to remove it here, and I'm just gonna remove this door seal, which vents the heater. A bit messy inside there. Okay, so I'll just remove this back cover, and you can see here there's a mess back here. There's obviously been a bearing failure, and it's leaked out the back of the machine and down to the bottom. So I'm still dismantling the machine here. What I'm going to do here is remove the front panel to access the tub, and you can see me just undoing the counterweight at the front there, concrete counterweight, and it got a bit dark as I was working, as you can see here. Well, I can just about remove the counterweight here, and it is very heavy. And here you can see me just lifting at the tub. And it's not light either. Okay, to show you around it there, there's a mess at the back there, and inside the machine you can see it's it must have made a right mess in the kitchen, because it was leaking as well. It was leaking out the back because the bearing failed, and it's all rusty, and it's just because it's been sprayed around the back of the machine, as you can see here. So I'm gonna have to clean this off at some stage. Okay, next day, I'm just removing the heater element here. Let's get it out of the way. You can see there's a lot of lint inside of here. Hell of a lot of lint inside here, and the heater and the fan. And let me just show you inside here. This is where the heat blows into the tub, and there's a buildup of lint inside here also, which I'm going to have to remove. See that there? Okay, I'm just removing the door seal here. motor off, electric motor, get that out of the way, and I'm just removing the heating element. Just show you close up of that, heavily corroded. They usually are anyway, obviously you don't get to see them because they're tucked in the machine. And here you can see me just removing the pulley, which is also covered in rust from when the bearings failed. And just wobble the pulley off like so. Okay, now you can see the bearings there. It looks intact, but it has been leaking from here. Just push the drum in a little bit there. Right, let me just show you here. This is a seal tub. You cannot get bearings for this because it's a seal tub. There's no screws to split it to replace the bearings, so they're not listed online. So what I'm going to do, let me just show you here. You can see the seam where they've welded together at the factory. And what I'm going to do is drill some holes here and all the way around. Once I've cut the tub in half, which is what I intend to do. And you can see the movement in the drum there. So first and foremost, what I'm going to do is make some holes around the rim of the tub, so that I can bolt it back together once I've split it apart. And to do that, I'm just going to use this hot solder iron, because you can't really get a drill and a drill bit in there unless you get like a long drill bit, which I haven't got. So I'm just going to use a soldering iron here, as you can see, just to make a hole, make holes all the way around, probably about a couple of inches apart. That's the first one done, and I'm just doing the second one here, and I'll give you a little close-up so you can see exactly what I'm doing in a second. I'll give you a little close-up here. You can see I'm just using the hot solder iron just to make a hole for bolts, because I am going to bolt this unit back together. See there, scuff the tub a little bit, but that's not a problem. And I've got to do this all the way around, and probably about 2 inches apart, or 1.5 inches apart. Okay, now that I've gone all the way around it, the next thing I'm going to do is get my saw out and cut the tub. You see me just making another hole here with the soldering iron. This one's a little bit thicker because it's around by the strut mount for the shock absorber. Sorry, for the spring holder. Okay, that should do for now. So what I'm going to do now is I've got to cut along the seam where they've welded it together. So I'm going to use a handsaw just to make a gap, and I'll show you in a minute once I've cut a little starting gap. See, that's where I've got to cut. I've got to split the tub in two. So I've started off with a handsaw, but I'm going to use my reciprocating saw for the rest of it because it's quicker. So it's just a matter of cutting all the way around. Make sure you remove the heating element when you cut that in half, and also you got to be careful not to cut the tub or scratch the tub with the blade. So I'm going to go all the way around and cut along the seam. Like I said, avoid cutting the tub, the drum inside, sorry. You see me there, just working my way around it. And I'm nearly there, as you can see here, I'm cutting it still. And there you go, I've managed to split the tub. I'll show you the inside of the outer cover. You see there, build up of lint inside here, which I'm going to have to clean and get rid of. And here you can see me just removing the drum. Just might be a bit stiff sometimes, but this one come out fairly straightforward. You see the shaft there, where it's all rusty, where the bearings have failed, and all that black stuff's just grease and rust from when it was failing. And let me just show inside here. This is the bearings. Let me just get this camera down and show you inside. So you got your black seal on the outside, and inside there the bearings have failed, as you can see there, and they've completely, the outer bearings have completely collapsed. Now let me just highlight this for you, where the seller says the bearing fell and it stopped working. Well, this must have sounded like Concorde starting up when it was being used. So like I said before, here's the bearings completely shot, the outside ones, inside ones, sorry. So what I'm going to do is knock them out. So firstly, I'm just going to put this tub on top of a bucket and use a drift. I'm going to knock the outer bearing out, as you can see there, and I'll just show you the contents have fell out into the bucket. Let me show you that. That's the outer bearing, and the inner bearing race completely collapsed, and those are the bits inside the bucket. That's the inner bearing race completely shattered. Like I said, this machine must have made a right racket when it was just before it well, for weeks, I'd imagine. Okay, so now I've got to do is knock the inner bearings out, or what's left of them, the bearing race. That's just another part of the bearing there, and you can see the actual bearings harness here. It's just sitting in the housing. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is knock the inner bearing out, which is slightly bigger. And you heard the contents fall out onto the floor there. I'll just show you. That's the inner bearing, and its contents completely shattered. So I'll just put that in the bucket also. I'm going to need this bearing race. I'm going to have to measure this and the outer bearing, the outer bearing also, and this is the seal. I'm going to have to measure that as well to order a new one. And like I said, this is a sealed tub, so you cannot buy the bearings and seals for this off the shelf. So I'm going to measure them and order, see if I can find the sizes and order some. Okay, so I'm just giving the tub a clean on the inside. You can see all the mess inside there. And it's only when I've started to clean it, I've noticed once the tub got wet, as I was scrubbing it, I noticed these, the little pockets you can see there, the little slots. Let me just show you here. It tends to hold these pockets of fluff and lint there. You see I've got them stacked up there. So once they're wet, they remove easy. You can see I'm getting them out there. These are just pockets of lint that are built up inside the machine. Fascinating. So I'll just continue to remove them all. Not sure how you're supposed to clean this because you'd never be able to get to it. Okay, you can see me just cleaning the back of the tub. You see all this lint coming out. There's a build-up of lint inside the back of the tub where the heater blows. And you can see me just cleaning the outside cover. You see the build-up of lint there. It comes off fairly easy once it gets wet. Big chunks of it, as you can see here, of dried up lint. Just falling off now. See them there? Okay, I've got it relatively clean. I'm pretty happy with that. Show you this side. I've got to clean the outside as well. It's a lot cleaner than before. Right, this is the housing for the machine. You can see all this rust inside the bottom, which I'm going to have to clean now. It's just sprayed all along the back of the machine when it was spinning round, when the bearings failed. So I'm just using the jet wash to clean it, and there's some electrics here, so I'm just going to leave it to dry out. And here you can see me cleaning the heater elements and the blower fan that was covered in lint. Just show you the close up there. Here you can see me just removing the filter for the pump, and all that was chugging around inside the tub is now settled inside here, and there's a lot of chewed up plastics and what's not, and lint to show inside the housing. So obviously all of this will need cleaning also. I'm just going to jet the whole thing. I'm going to leave this section to dry out because, like I said, it's got some electronics on it, so I'm going to leave it to dry for about a week. Okay, this is the important part. You need to measure these bearings to order a new set from a supplier. These are the measurements I found near enough. You cannot buy bearings for this off the shelf. Okay, these are the sizes I found, and I've ordered them off the internet for £12. I found a supplier that has these sizes. In the meantime, I've ordered them, and I'm just going to have a look at this also, the cover. You can see I drilled the holes to fix it back together, to fit the tub back together, bolt it back together, sorry. And it's nice and clean, cleaner than before anyway, the outer tub. This is where the bearings go, so I am going to have to give this a clean. It's a bit rusty, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is just use my wire brush attachment and just get inside here, give the housing for the bearings a clean before they arrive. So you see it's nice and shiny there. It's just you using an electric wire brush, so it's not going to take any of the metal off. It's just going to make it nice and shiny. And I'm just going to flip it over and do the same on the inside, as you can see here. So show you there, the housing a bit rusty. So I'm just going to get my wire brush drill bit back in there and just give it a good scrub, get rid of some of that rust so the bearings will fit in a bit easier. You can see there, nice and clean inside there now, the housing for the bearings. Okay, and also the drum, the spindle is on the spider is it's going to have to buff that as well because it's all rusty. You have to get that nice and clean so the bearings slot in. I'm just going to buff here. Got it nice and shiny, and the copper part is for the water seal. Let me just show you there. Got it nice and shiny. That brass part is for the oil seal, water seal, sorry. Okay, so now with the bearings have arrived, I'm just show you here. Arrived next day, and here they are inside here. These are the bearings and seal which I've ordered. I hope they fit. I measured the sizes. So let me just do a little test. So this is the water seal, and it fits around the copper section there. And then this is the inner bearing, fits just above it. This one slots on nicely, and this is the outer bearing, just fits onto the end like so. So I'm happy with that. So what I've got to do now is fit these bearings back into the tub. So what I've got to do, this is the outer bearing, I'm just putting it in here, and just use a bit of grease to help them to slide in, because I'm going to press them in. You can't just put them in, they've got to be pressed in or hammered in. So I'm just putting a bit of grease around the housing and around the bearing itself, and that should just sit in there. Just press it in, it'll just sit on the top, it won't go any further without force. And I'm going to do the same on the outside for the outer bearing, same procedure. Just put a bit of grease around the housing here, and then a bit of grease around the actual bearing itself on the outside, and then just I'm going to use the old bearing here to slide this bearing in, and I've got a press tool which will press them in. If I just set it up and show you, a bit tricky. So what I'm going to do is use the outer bearing race and this piece of metal here, because I've got to line everything up nice, as you can see here. So the outer bearing race will push the outer bearing in, and the inner bearing race will push the inner bearing in. You see there? So now that I've got them all straight and lined up, it's just a matter of winding it on. As you see here, you can probably see and hear it going in as I'm winding it. Both bearings are going in. I'm going to switch it around and show you the inner bearing. So if I wind the handle on the back, you should be able to see the inner bearing going in, and it'll go in as far as it'll go to the ridges, then it'll stop, and I'm happy with that. I think that's they're fully inserted, so all I've got to do is move the tool and the old bearing race, which is no longer required, sling that, and just take the bearing race off here. You see the bearing, the new bearing fitted, and same on the outside. Just remove this old bearing, which just helped to press it in. Sling that. So let me just show you the bearings in situ. That's the outer bearing. As you can see, it's fitting in there nice and snug. If you turn it around, you can see the inner bearing. That's also fitting nicely in there. Okay, just show you, get a close up inside. And that's fully seated, as you can see. The outer bearing fully seated. Matter of fact, they both are. Okay, so it's just a matter of fitting the seal. That's the seal, the water seal. Stops water getting to the bearings. So it's just a matter of that can just press in. Sometimes you might have to hammer them in, but that can just press in by hand, as you can see there, and it just presses right up against the outer bearing, and I'm pretty happy with that. That's that bearing inserted, as you can see there. That's what it looks like now. And if you remember before, when I knocked the old bearings, when I took the old tub out, let's show you, that's what it looked like before, with all the mangled bearings inside, and that's what it looks like now. So that's pretty much ready for the drum to be inserted, which is what I'm going to do now. So I'm just going to put a bit of grease around this shaft, which slides into the bearings, just to help it to slide in. Bit of grease around there, and then I'm just going to put a bit of grease around the water seal. You can see there. Okay, you see a little closer with that also. That's the tub with the drum ready to be inserted. So it's just a matter of, it should just slide over. The tub should just marry up with the drum. Nice, as you can see there. And you can see me just give it a spin. That's fine, there's no more movement. So now that that's done, it's just a matter of what I've got to do now. I'm using this glue to glue and bolt the unit together. I use this glue because it's waterproof and it expands, so as it's drying it'll take up any spaces. You can use silicone. I don't use silicone, I use this Gorilla Glue because it's because it expands and it's very strong. It actually bonds the unit together. Okay, so I'm just going to put some on the outside, the outer tub also. As you can see there, let me just speed this section up because it takes too long. Let's fast forward this section. See, so okay. Wear gloves when you're using this glue because when it gets on your hands, you can't wash it off. It's just going to wear off and it makes your hands messy. I'm just wiping off the excess here, excess that drip down. Okay, I'm happy with that. So it's just a matter of putting it over, putting the cover over exactly how it came off. Like I said, just going to line up the holes what I've pre-bored out. And then now that I've got the holes all lined up, I'll bought these bolts with Allen key head from the B&Q hardware store, which look to do the parts, and here they are. This is what I'm going to use. I'm going to use nuts and bolts. These bolts have got the Allen key head, so you can use the Allen key to tighten them up. And here you can see me just inserting them. I've got to insert them all the way around. You see they've got the one bolt in there, and then I'm just going to put a washer on the top, and then just put a nut on the thread, and that will go all the way around all the holes I've drilled. Let me just show you here. You see me just tightening them up, tighten up the nuts and bolts, and as I'm doing that, you will notice the Gorilla Glue squeezing out as it gets tighter. And like I said, the glue will take up any excess gaps, and it will adhere the unit together as well as bolt it together. And you obviously need to bolt it as well because of the counterweight, concrete counterweight. And you can see me just tighten them up, and as you can see, the glue starting to squirt out. And I've got to do this all the way around, go around and fix new bolts and tighten them up all the way around. Okay, here you can see I've got them all bolted up. Just show you there. You see the short bolts sticking out there, and the glue starting to squirt out because it expands. So I'm not going to do anything with this for 24 hours, even though it will dry in probably a couple of hours. I usually leave it for 24 hours before I actually switch the machine on. Okay, now that it's dried, you can see I'm just taking off the drips of the outside, which will just peel off, just to make it look a bit tidier. And just show you here. Okay, I've fitted the motor back on and the door seal, and here you can see I've got the housing nice and clean, and it's dry now. You can see nice and tidy in there now. I'll put the shock absorbers in also, and you can see that's ready for the tub. So I'm just going to insert the tub. I'll fast forward this section because it's quite a long process with the help of me Guinness there. So here you can see me just putting the unit together. Okay, just show you here, I've got it all wired up, all the connections connected back up. You can see the back here, it's nice and clean now, whereas before it's filthy. Give it all a clean, get the pulley clean and everything. So it's just a matter of putting this top hood back on, top cover, just 4 bolts on the top. And I'm just going to connect it up to the water mains, and I've got a drain at the back, which I'll put the drainage into a drain, and I've got it wired up to electric also, so I can test it. These are just some cleaning cloths what I use to test. Chuck them inside and switch the unit on, and it comes on, which I didn't even anticipate. The lights are flashing on the video, but it's because the sun's on it. They are solid. It's because the sun's shining on it, make the lights look like they're flashing the digits, but they're not. They are solid. Okay, so I've started it up, and it sounds okay. You can see the water tray filling up, top filling up. So I'm just going to let that run for a bit. I'm just showing you through the various cycles. See, it's filled up with water, and it's still 2 hours 90 minutes left. Show you the back there. See, that's ticking away nicely, and there's no leaks inside. I left the back cover off just to check for leaks. And I'm still letting it run through the cycle, still testing it. And I've just left it. It's starting to rain a bit on the outside, so. And let me just show you under here. Got the torch in there, you can see it's nice and dry. as it's reaching the end of its spin. No leaks whatsoever, so I'm quite happy with that. That's why the floor's wet. Okay, next day I've put it on a 90-degree wash just to test it. I've done the drying tests, and that seems working fine. Just showing the back here, you can just about hear the water heating up if you're living carefully before the pump motor kicks in. And I'm pretty satisfied with that. But I've got this project next. It's an LG wash machine. Let me just show you. Just pick this one up as well, and this will be the next project. See, it's got the same problem. I don't know if it's the spider or the bearings, but I'm gonna have to have a look. That'll be in another video. So with that, thanks for watching once again, and please subscribe.